Good morning, everybody. It is Monday. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Hope everybody's having a good day so far. I hope everybody's ready to have some conservation coffee with me. Whether you're watching now or you're watching later, we're going to talk about super positive things in the eco world so that we can always have a couple good nuggets of information to have during our day. So I think today is going to be different than all other days. Why? Because the technology appears to be working. Good morning, everybody. I hope you are having a wonderful morning. It's 7 a.m. over in Los Angeles. So that'll be 10 a.m. For all my friends on the East Coast, and further in the day for all my friends over in the UK, beyond Romania, Cambodia, Indonesia, and everywhere else. So it's great to see everybody. And today we are focused on positive stories, good things that are happening in the eco world, so that you can sort of have that to either start conversations with or just simply know and share with others. It's going to be good stuff. Hey, good morning. It's nice to see you. Hello, Fan. And yes, good to see you. Thank you for being on this morning. So today we're going to talk about, there's so many great things happening around the world. And by the way, everybody, look, right below, that is my website, ericecrown.com. Please go click onto there, and I'm going to be adding where you can give us your email, and we will send you a newsletter. I'm actually going to be leaving Los Angeles once again in an effort to go out and perform direct action conservation and take my camera and take everybody with me. So I want to show you guys some of the most incredible stuff that's happening around the world that is going on in conservation, and some of the trouble spots. And we're also going to be having a few trips coming up this year where you can join me for some direct action campaigns. So if you want to stay up to date with me, please go to the website right there. And there's links that you can click from my website that'll take you to the YouTube, anywhere you want to go. So let's talk about conservation today, conservation mornings. And then, the Mekong River, Vietnam. I absolutely loved the Mekong. I only got to see the Mekong in Cambodia, and I would love to go see it in Vietnam. Beautiful, beautiful river. At one part, we went to an area called Tonle Sap in Cambodia, which is a floating village, and it's actually very interesting. A lot of people weren't able to live in one country or the other, so they built these entire communities that float. It's so beautiful and so incredible. And another way that people are incredibly innovative. So yes, thank you so much for that. I'm hoping to actually be back in Vietnam in the next few months. So hopefully we can go take a look there. Let's keep in touch about that. I'd love to share that with everybody, because that's what it is. It's conservation conversation. This is the Conservation Coffee, where we talk about positive eco stories for you to start your day out. So what I wanted to start with today is one of the biggest pieces of news that we may have had in a long time for environmental movement. Now, this is from years and years and years and years of us all combining to create a voice. But I don't know if you heard, there's massive changes in the perception of fossil fuels as opposed to what we had, and moving towards the future. So recently, ExxonMobil was actually kicked out of the Dow Jones. And the Dow Jones is a collection of the top powerhouse companies, blue chip companies, that create sort of what we consider a national average as a barometer to the health of the economy. So the Dow Jones, and to be in the Dow Jones, and by the way, Exxon is one of the oldest listings in the Dow Jones. So this is a massive shift. They've actually been replaced by Salesforce.com. Now, who would ever guess that oil and gas would be replaced by a company that mines data, track sales, et cetera, et cetera. And, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, mining data and data itself is so critical. And if you're not familiar, there's a great documentary called The Great Hack about the use of information that we have around there. So amazing news. ExxonMobil has been taken out of the Dow Jones because it's not performing in the way that one of the top companies would. And what this means is that a lot of people's buying habits are changing, but the company habits aren't changing. So, COVID-19, let's see, Vietnam, COVID-19, everybody's okay. That's great. You know what? In the US, we are doing a terrible job. The United States has, I think, probably the most amount of cases. And unfortunately, our country is not handling it well. You know, when I was in Vietnam, one thing I noticed is that people are very conscious of air quality. And a lot of times when you're on your scooters, you'll wear a mask when you're just out driving around in general. And there's a lot of people are knowledgeable about it. And I think that I'm sure that when COVID came in, people there were a lot more alert to take the precautions. That, I mean, in a lot of ways, were already in place there just due to some air pollution issues. I'm not saying all, I mean, a lot of Vietnam is just gorgeous, open country. It's beautiful, absolutely unspoiled. But the more city center areas do have a lot of motorbikes and, you know, and people put the masks on a lot. So they're actually very specialized over there. And, you know, it's interesting in the Western area, we only have the masks that are sort of like the doctor masks. And, you know, a lot of people will use those, but now we're starting to learn about the more specialized masks. And I learned about N99 masks and other things like that while I was over in Asia for a while. And yes, Vietnam was beautiful. I loved it. And I can't wait to go back, quite honestly. Yeah, I really, it was amazing. And one of the most amazing parts when I was there, the government had actually sold their fishing rights to, this is another actually very positive eco story. They sold their fishing rights to China. I think it was a 100-year lease, and they sold certain areas of their waterways. Now, fishing is so important to the Vietnamese economy and culture. I mean, there's a lot of fishermen. We saw beautiful areas where they actually build giant boats out of wood still. I mean, it's an art form. Giant shipyards where I was in Vietnam, gorgeous. And you know, absolutely just, yeah, incredible. So the entire country decided to have a protest all around the country on the same day. And it was incredible. People in Ho Chi Minh City or Saigon, they all rose up to defend the fishermen's rights. The people in the village that I was staying in, which was called Phan Tet, that erupted in protest as well. And the entire country erupted. And what the amazing thing was everybody stood up and said, no, we're not going to take this. But that government actually listened to the voice of the people and reversed the 100-year lease. And I think there's something incredible about that. It just goes to show that we have power in numbers. And, you know, here in the US, we're not used to having our voices heard, even if we are in numbers. So it's a very different thing. Anyway, absolutely loved it. You know, Vietnam is just a beautiful, beautiful place. You know, it's hard to find the right words to describe it because there is just such a beauty there and such a positivity. Like, I met so many incredibly positive people that were looking towards the future. And that's what's great, is when you go around the world and you see innovation in thinking, you see new ways, and you see the people demand change, and they're demanding to have their voices heard and demanding to have their rights respected. And we're seeing it worldwide. And it's really a beautiful thing because that's where it all comes through, is the next generation. They're the ones that are going to change our world. Where we fail, they will succeed. So let's see. Okay, so the next piece of news, now this is continuing in the same realm, is that you know, it's always been sort of us as the environmentalists against the establishment. You know, like we're going to go protest and the establishment won't listen. But because of sales and because of ethical buying, because people have changed their perception on things, these actually are changing the people behind the companies, which are the fund managers and the investors. And so
There's a company, it's a Nordic Hedge fund. Now, these guys, I mean, imagine this is over $90 billion. It's almost, this is incredible. That is a huge amount. Um, they've dumped all the stocks in the world's biggest oil companies and miners who are responsible for lobbying against climate change. How amazing is that? That includes Chevron, Rio Tinto, which is in Melbourne, it's an Australian extraction mining company, and ExxonMobil. Now, the chief of that particular hedge fund, which I believe is store brand, said the corporate lobbying activity designed to undermine solutions to, quote, the greatest risks facing humanity, quote, is simply unacceptable. Also, he will divest from German chemical company BASF, and they have actually a plant in Cancer Alley in Mississippi, Louisiana, that leaches out a lot of pollution. And the U.S. electric supplier Southern Company for lobbying against climate regulation, and a string of companies that derive more than 5% of their revenues from coal or oil sands. So this means that investors are now responding to not only the actual purchasing power that we have in our house, but what we've been talking about for a long time. And, it's interesting because people want to debate climate change, but here's the thing. Companies that take from our environment already know it will happen. And the reason I say that is because you can go to any of these companies and look at their prospectus, and you can look at their plans, and they all have plans. And they have all taken climate change into account into how to change their business. They're not dinosaurs. They want us to fight for their right to burn coal or whatever. But in reality, the companies understand that these are finite resources that they have almost overexploited. And it's not even about them suddenly having a heart or caring. It's about these things are almost gone. So they need something new to make money on. And so their interest is waning from this, which is fantastic because it's giving a rise in heading towards more sustainable things. So let's see. It says, I invite you to visit Vietnam. My family's racing fish on the Mekong River, floating house. Oh, beautiful. I would absolutely love that. Yes, please. Let's make sure to talk more about that on Messenger. I would absolutely be an absolute honor to be able to visit with the family and to be able to see how life on the Mekong is and to share that with everybody, because there's an amazing, in a lot of places, like in America, it's interesting. Our waterways tend to be shipping lanes, or they're things that we go visit on our weekends. Now, sometimes people go and they kayak and they spend time out in the waters and they live on the water. There's a lot of fishermen, small scale, charter, etc., that all live on the water. But those of us that don't, live on the rivers across the world, the rivers have maintained to still be resources for people. And don't get me wrong, internationally, we have the same problem that I've seen in a lot of states around America, which is the dumping of pollution into the rivers. So, we have to really think about that. We can no longer consider the veins of our lands as pollution canals. So that's why I was really impressed when I was over there. I found a lot of people living on and around the waterways, but they've still been allowed to maintain the waterways. So very, very beautiful. And the other thing I loved about Vietnam, and if you guys haven't watched the video, it's on my YouTube channel, is everybody that sells stuff from carts performs karaoke while they're walking, and sometimes they walk through the middle of the streets. It's amazing. It is amazing. Absolutely incredible. So I just wanted to share that. Now, give me 1 second here, everybody. I want to get to the next story, which I'm excited about. And the next story is about another change in thinking in how to shop, how to build, how to see the future. Now, these are actually small bungalows that they're trying in Bali right now. Now, these bungalows are entirely made from recycled material.
So what that means is that these houses are used 100% recycled material, which means they will go back. Oh, well, they will go back and they will continue to be recycled. Now, when it comes to plastics and recycling, it's very complicated. There, you have to think of it in the terms of upstream and downstream. And upstream are the companies that create the pollution and send it into the water, which literally goes downstream. And downstream solutions are things like, beach cleanups, ways to help with different areas. But when you have an upstream solution and a downstream solution, the cost never goes back to the people that are upstream, which are the corporations. It always comes down to us on the downstream and the downstream solutions. So what we need is our goal is to try to force more upstream solutions. Now, one of the ways that is an upstream solution is a closed environment, a closed circuit. And what that means, for example, when Coca-Cola buys plastic nurdles, they buy them for, pennies on the dollar. And then they melt them and turn them into Coca-Cola bottles. When they then throw them out, and then you buy them, and then when you throw them out, the cost doesn't go back to Coca-Cola to clean things. It doesn't. But you take a company like Hewlett-Packard that says, bring back your computers. They take the computers, they melt them down, and they mold new computers out of them. So Hewlett-Packard has what's considered an enclosed plastic ecosystem. And the thing is, it's not great that they're using plastic, but the thing is they're not adding new plastic. They simply are recycling the plastics that they have. And that's a very big step for corporations to take. And more can take that as well. So whereas Coca-Cola fails all of us, Hewlett-Packard is actually doing the right thing in the sense of what to do with our plastics. Until we can figure out what to do with them, let's just make sure that they stay in and they stay being useful and no additional ones are needed. Hey, Camilla, good morning. Nice to see you and hope everything's going well over there in the UK. And so I wanted to come back now to these incredible little houses. Now, these houses are, I think these are, not only are these the way of the future, but if you look at them, they have their own construction, and in the inside you wouldn't even really notice the difference. They're just beautiful. They're made out of wood, but the wood is actually recycled material, and it's recycled cardboardy type material. And I don't want to say cardboard because I don't want everybody to think they're going to go literally live in a box house, but it's this sort of new thing. It's made by a company called Stilt Studios, and it's pretty cool because a lot of companies are now designing eco-friendly or sustainable ways of living. And this is one way of doing it that no other company is doing, which is creating a house that is fully made of recycled, and then when people are done with it, they can take it back and recycle it. Now, it does not mean that you're going to buy like the IKEA version of a house that's just going to fall over and turn into particle board, as soon as you get it wet. So, hey, Michelle, good morning. Hope everything's going well down in Florida and you and your family are safe, especially with all of the different things running around these days. So yeah, it's good to see everybody out here. So in case you're just joining right now, a couple quick things. I'm going to begin journeying around and trying to show the innovative solutions that are happening around the world and also the problems that we do have to face. And as we know, Facebook is, they do like to ban me quite frequently. So please go to my website, which is listed down here, which is myname.com, Eric E. Crown. And please go there. You'll have the opportunity to sign up for a newsletter and stay in touch with me. And what I'll be doing is kind of a new thing. It's a mix of always doing frontline direct action work and filming. So these are the different areas that we're going to try to do. And there's a couple that are out there doing it. But a lot of times I'm a little bit more willing to go to the more remote places. And we can't keep telling the same conservation stories. We have to go deeper and deeper, and we have to find where the things are really happening behind the scenes. And that's my goal. So please go check it out, ericecrown.com. and just keep up with me. I will be on Facebook. I will be on YouTube, but I'm also going to be doing the podcast. I'll be traveling, and there's a lot of projects coming up. A lot of interesting projects coming up, everybody, including some good works that we're going to be doing down in the Congo, in Nicaragua, in Romania, here in the US, and a few other places. So there is a lot happening, and if you're interested in taking an eco tour and coming down with me on any of these direct action projects, please let me know. Hit me up with an email on my website. But anyway, the website's going to be the best way to keep up with me as the changes come around. So one last thing I just wanted to mention as we're all talking today. So the good news is, for those that are just joining and aren't quite sure what we're talking about, the good news is the major companies, which are the investors, are pulling away. ExxonMobil actually left the Dow Jones, and it's one of the oldest companies in the Dow Jones. It might be the oldest, but it's one of the oldest companies in the Dow Jones, which means that investors understand the future is no longer in these destructive fossil fuels and the extraction sectors as we know them. You know, we had an idea, we created the extraction sectors. I mean, really, if you go look at photos of mining in the 1900s, the extraction sectors have only become insanely abusively problematic in the last 20, 30 years. And it is something we have to push back on, and push back hard. We must. Hey, Heather, good morning. Nice to see you up in Seattle, where they're bringing down all those dams and allowing more salmon to flow. Let's hope that we can give that salmon now back to the local tribes and to the animals that should be eating it, instead of it becoming a massive industry. So good news, ExxonMobil gone from the Dow Jones. That means that environmentalists and conservationists we have been listened to over the last 40 years. And that's great news for us, as well as them removing over $90 billion hedge fund has removed their investments in places that lobby against trying to work for the climate. And, you know, again, whether you believe in climate change or not, it doesn't even matter, because these companies do. And you can go to their prospectus and you can see their 20, 30-year plan, and they all expect that their impact on the environment has changed things drastically. And they're smart, they're businesses, they have to know how to move it forward. So they give a line to everybody that says that we don't even believe in it. But in fact, if you go to their business plans, they do, and they have taken it into account. And you know, it's changing the way that investment's happening. So, hey, Jim, Mr. Humphreys, good morning to you, sir. I hope you're having a wonderful coffee. And there we go. So anyway, I just wanted to say good morning to everybody. And remember, there's massive change. There's change in thinking. And, you know, we have to remember that companies, corporations are not our enemy. They are our friends to a more sustainable future. They are the people that will continue to manufacture. Even if we don't like Coca-Cola making plastic bottles, they will continue to manufacture. So we buy ethically. We do our revolution through routine. We stay consistent. We stay unified. And if you can, stay drinking coffee or tea or any of those good things there. Nice. Okay, good. Yeah, man, it's good to see you too. Actually, Jim, I'll be back East Coast way pretty soon to work on a few projects, and we should have some coffee together, man. And maybe get the band back together. We'll see. Anyway, yeah, good news. So, you know, people are looking forward, and that's what today's episode's been all about. Looking forward. We're looking forward in not only how the investment firms work, but that means that they're looking forward in how the actual energy will work. And we're finding homes that are being created with 100% recyclable things. And, you know, not to be too crazy, but, you know, and it's kind of weird that we're finding a lot of solutions now where people are trying to integrate plastic and keep plastic in our world, but find ways to make it compostable and deconstructible, as opposed to its single use, the danger that it creates right now. But always like to remind everybody we had a great solution before plastic, and that was glass. So I don't even know if we need to innovate. Maybe we need to uninnovate, take it back a step, go back to glass. And
as a simple reminder, kindness is the way to go. And I just have to share this because this is my favorite thing that I've seen so far. Kindness 2020, regardless of how your politics fit, vote for kindness, vote for the next generation, make choices for the next generation, make choices for your friends, your family, and all of us together. We got to remember we're one voice. And if we can move together in a positive way, create a positive movement, we can always make a positive change. And as we've seen in these conservation coffees, it already happens. So if you haven't seen the other ones, check them out, because I will tell you that you can actually help save the planet if you eat a little bit more chocolate and drink a little bit more beer and have a little bit more coffee. I know it sounds crazy. There's probably nobody else saying that in conservation. Just you got to make the right choices, and then those ethical choices help companies comprehend. And you got to remember that a company's language is money, so we have to help them understand what we want, and we can't be upset with them. Their job is bottom line. Our job is to ask them to move that bottom line in consideration for our health. So we can do it, everybody. Anyway, everybody, I hope everybody's having a great day out there. Thanks for joining. And I always love doing these. If you're like me, you wake up and you can't really have coffee and talk to your friends about these topics because their eyes glaze over, and I get a lot of does it really matter? So it's wonderful to have these online groups of people that have similar mindsets, that all want to see similar outcomes. And every name I see on here, I know lives in their own way and in a positive way. And that alone changes the world. Everyone's like a flashlight in the dark. And it's true. Sierra, yes. Thank you, Sierra. Yeah, no, I think that's Jim's got a good dry sense of humor that way. Anyway, thanks for being on as well, Sierra. It's nice to see you. Good morning, and I hope you're having a great morning. Everybody, enjoy your coffee. Enjoy your day. It's Monday, but it doesn't have to be. It can be any day we want inside of our minds. And remember, things change. Remember, walk around with that power. Just imagine, as an environmentalist and a conservationist, you can now claim the victory that we all together have made such a change that major investment firms are no longer going into fossil fuels, and ExxonMobil has been dropped from the Dow Jones in replacement for data, which, I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, but the thing is fossil fuels are no longer being looked at as the lead determination of our economy, which means there's a change in thinking, even if we never hear it publicly. So take our victories, as small as they may be, as invisible as they may appear sometimes, or as quiet and behind the scenes as they may be. That's how we work in conservation. It's what we do. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope you're having a great day. Hope these stories brought in a little bit of positivity, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I'll see everybody tomorrow morning for some more positive eco stories as our conservation coffee. And remember, it's our world.